My Uncle Ben was the kind of guy people crossed the street to avoid. He lived in a tiny, dilapidated cabin on the edge of town. He wore flannel shirts that had been mended with duct tape. He drove a 1995 Ford truck that sounded like it was coughing up a lung every time he started it. To my family, Ben was the crazy embarrassment. My mother, his sister, stopped inviting him to Thanksgiving 10 years ago because he smelled like sawdust and didn't fit the aesthetic. My cousins made fun of him. My aunts pretended he didn't exist. To me, Ben was just Ben. I'm a 26-year-old high school history teacher. I don't have much money, but I have time. Every Sunday for the last 8 years, I went to Ben's cabin. We drank cheap coffee. We played chess. He taught me how to whittle. He never talked about money, and I never asked. I just liked him. He was quiet, smart, and had a dry sense of humor that the rest of the family was too snobbish to understand. When Ben died of a sudden heart attack last week, I was devastated. The funeral was pathetic. It was me, the funeral director, and Ben's neighbor, Mrs. Gable. My mother showed up 10 minutes late, complained about the rain, and left before the casket was even lowered. He didn't have anything OP, she told me, checking her watch. It's tragic, really. A wasted life. I suppose we'll have to pay to clean out that shack of his. 3 days later, we were summoned to a law office in the city. This surprised me. I didn't think Ben had a lawyer. I assumed he wrote his will on a napkin, but the address was for a high-end firm in a skyscraper downtown. My entire family showed up. My mom, my 2 aunts, my 3 cousins. They were all grumbling about paying for parking. Why are we here? My Aunt Linda huffed. To inherit his debt? I bet he owes the electric company a fortune. We were ushered into a conference room that cost more than Ben's truck. A man in a sharp suit walked in. "Good morning," he said. "I am Mr. Sterling, executor of the estate of Benjamin, last name." "Estate?" my cousin scoffed. "You mean the shack?" Mr. Sterling ignored him. He opened a leather folder. Benjamin was a private man. Sterling began. He lived simply. However, he was an extremely astute investor. He was an early shareholder in several major tech companies in the 90s. He also owned significant commercial real estate holdings in 3 states. The room went dead silent. You could hear a pin drop. "The total value of the estate," Sterling continued, adjusting his glasses, including liquid assets, stocks, and real property, is valued at approximately $42 million. My mother gasped so loud she choked. Aunt Linda grabbed the table for support. My cousins' eyes were popping out of their heads. "42 million?" my mom whispered. "Ben." "Yes," Sterling said. "Now, to the distribution." Everyone sat up straighter. Suddenly, Ben wasn't the crazy embarrassment. He was their beloved brother. I saw the greed wash over their faces like a tidal wave. They were already spending the money in their heads. "I leave the sum of $1 to my sister, Susan," Sterling read. My mom froze. "I leave the sum of $1 to my sister, Linda." Aunt Linda looked like she had been slapped. "And to my nieces and nephews who never visited, I leave nothing." Sterling looked up. He looked directly at me. "The remainder of my estate, the entire $42 million, the real estate portfolio and the cabin, I leave to my nephew, Opie, because he was the only one who asked me how I was doing, not what I was doing." I sat there, paralyzed. $42 million. This is a mistake. Aunt Linda screamed, standing up and knocking her chair over. He was senile. He was crazy. Opie manipulated him. "The will was updated 6 months ago," Sterling said calmly. He was of sound mind, and he was very specific about why he cut you all out. I looked at my family. They weren't mourning Ben. They were mourning the lottery ticket. They had just lost. And judging by the look in my mother's eyes, the war had just begun. I barely made it out of the lawyer's office alive. In the elevator, my mother cornered me. She wasn't crying anymore. Her eyes were hard, calculating. "O.P.," she said, clutching my arm tight enough to bruise. "You need to fix this." Obviously, Ben made a mistake. He was confused. "We are a family. We share." "He wasn't confused, Mom." I said, pulling my arm away. He knew exactly who visited him and who didn't. I was busy, she snapped. I work. I have a life. You can't punish me for having responsibilities. Now listen, we aren't going to let this ruin us. You are going to sign a document redistributing the assets. 20% for everyone. It's only fair. Fair. I laughed. You mocked him at his funeral. I walked to my car. My cousins were standing by the parking meter. Congrats, bro, one of them sneered. Must be nice. Playing the long con on a senile old man. How much did you pay him to write that? I got in my car and locked the doors. By the time I got to my apartment, my phone battery was dead. When I plugged it in, it buzzed for 5 minutes straight. 42 missed calls, 15 voicemails, 86 text messages. The texts ranged from begging to threatening. Aunt Linda, if you keep this money, you are stealing from your own blood. Cousin Mike, I have gambling debts, man. Ben would have wanted to help me. Don't be greedy. Mom, I am coming over. We are going to settle this. I didn't answer. I sat on my couch in the dark, thinking about Ben. I thought about how he used to patch his own roof because he didn't want to waste money. He had $42 million, and he lived like a pauper just to see who would love him for him. And the answer was nobody but me. An hour later, there was a pounding on my door. It wasn't the police. It was my mother and Aunt Linda. They had let themselves into my building. My buzzer is broken. I opened the door crack. Go away. Let us in, Opie. Aunt Linda shouted. We need to talk about the lawsuit. I let them in only because they were waking up the neighbors. They stormed into my small living room, looking around with disdain at my IKEA furniture. We've spoken to a lawyer, Mom announced, sitting down without being asked. We are going to sue the estate for undue influence. We are going to argue that you, as his caregiver, manipulated a vulnerable, mentally ill man into changing his will. I wasn't his caregiver, I said calmly. I was his nephew. I visited him once a week for coffee. I never handled his meds. I never handled his money. And Mr. Sterling has hours of video footage of Ben signing the will, looking perfectly sane. It will tie the money up for years. Linda spat. You won't see a dime for a decade. The legal fees will drain the estate. Or, she paused for dramatic effect. Or, you can agree to split it now. We'll take $5 million each. You keep the rest. Everyone is happy. No court, no fighting. They were trying to extort me. They were using the threat of a bogus lawsuit to bully me into giving them a payout they didn't deserve. You want $5 million? I asked. It's what we deserve, Mom said. We are his sisters. He left you $1. I reminded them. That's what he thought you deserved. He was sick. Mom yelled. He was a hoarder. He was crazy, and you took advantage of him. Get out, I said. What? Get out of my apartment. If you want to sue, sue. Mr. Sterling warned me you would do this. He said Ben predicted it. He actually left a specific clause in the will for this exact moment. What clause? Aunt Linda narrowed her eyes. The no contest clause. I lied. Partially. I knew Sterling had a plan. But go ahead. Try. I have $42 million to fight you with. You have debt. Let's see who blinks first. My mother stood up. She looked at me with pure hatred. You are dead to me. You are a selfish, greedy little boy. If you don't share this money, you have no family. I haven't had a family for a long time, I said. I just had people who tolerated me. They stormed out. I locked the door. I was shaking, but I wasn't going to fold. Ben trusted me. He trusted me to protect his legacy from the vultures. And I wasn't going to let them pick his bones clean. They actually tried it. 2 weeks after the funeral, I was served with a lawsuit. Susan, last name at Alvey. The estate of Benjamin, last name. They were claiming lack of capacity, undue influence, and fraud. They had hired a lawyer who advertised on billboards, the kind of guy who promises to fight for your injury. I called Mr. Sterling. Don't worry, Sterling said, sounding almost bored. Ben was a paranoid genius. He prepared for this. Come to my office on Monday. We are holding a deposition. Your family will be there. Monday morning, the vultures arrived. They looked smug. They thought the mere threat of a lawsuit would make me write checks. We sat in the same conference room. Their lawyer, a guy with a cheap suit and too much hair gel, started blustering. "My clients have been disenfranchised," he shouted. "We demand a settlement, or we will tie this estate up in probate for 20 years. Mr. Sterling waited for him to finish. Then he pressed a button on the wall. A large screen descended. "Before we discuss settlements," Sterling said, "Ben left a video addendum to his will. He instructed me to play it only in the event of a legal challenge by his sisters." The screen flickered to life. There was Ben. He was sitting in his cabin, wearing his flannel shirt. He looked healthy, sharp, and very, very angry. "Hello, Susan." "Hello, Linda," Ben said from the screen. My mother gasped. "If you are watching this, it means you are trying to steal my money." Again, Ben leaned into the camera. "I am of sound mind. I am recording this on date 6 months ago. I have just completed a psychiatric evaluation by a court-appointed doctor to prove my competency. The report is attached to my will." Sterling slid a thick medical file across the table to their lawyer. The lawyer's face fell. "I am leaving you nothing," Ben continued. "Not because I forgot you, but because I remember. I remember when you laughed at my truck. I remember when you didn't invite me to Christmas. I remember when you borrowed $5,000 from me in 1998 and never paid it back, claiming I didn't need it because I lived in a shack." My mother went pale. "I lived in a shack because I liked it. I invested my money because I'm smart. You are not smart. You are greedy. And to ensure you cannot claim you were forgotten, I have left you each exactly $1. This is a specific bequest. By accepting this dollar, or by contesting this will, you trigger the no contest clause." Ben smiled. It was a terrifying smile. "If you contest this will and lose, you will be liable for all legal fees incurred by the estate. Given the size of my estate, those fees will be in the millions. Do you have millions, Susan? Do you, Linda?" The video ended. The room was silent. Their lawyer closed his folder. He looked at my mother. "You didn't tell me there was a psychiatric eval. Or a video." I didn't know," Mom stammered. "I can't win this," the lawyer said, standing up. "He has proof of capacity. He has proof of intent. If we proceed, you will be countersued for legal fees, and you will go bankrupt. I'm dropping the case." He walked out. My family sat there, stripped of their weapons. They looked small. "Mr. Sterling," I said, "please cut the checks." Sterling reached into his drawer and pulled out 2 envelopes. He slid one to my mother and one to Aunt Linda. Inside each was a cashier's check for $1. "Get out," I said. "Up." Mom started to cry. Real tears this time. Tears of financial ruin. "Please, we're broke. We spent money on the lawyer." "That sounds like a personal problem," I said. "Ben gave you $1. Don't spend it all in one place." The aftermath. They left. They haven't contacted me since. They know they can't. I kept the cabin. I fixed it up, new roof, better heating, but I kept it simple. It's my retreat now. As for the $42 million, I didn't buy a yacht. I set up a trust for myself so I can teach history, because I want to, not because I have to. I donated a large chunk to the local library and the park service, 2 things Ben loved. And every Sunday, I drive out to the cabin, pour a cup of cheap coffee, and play a game of chess against myself. Ben played the long game, and he won.